What's going on, guys? Play-by-play game here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we're taking a look at the brand new units that are going to be dropping here in a couple of weeks, Ilynav and Inferno Khawazu. So let's take a look at Ilynav here real quick and see what she's all about. So I know we've been waiting for Ilynav for a while, and I don't think she really disappoints.
Fight like you're ready to die, or I'll kill you myself. For every tear we've shed, you will bleed 100 times over. For the sins of you and your kind, you will suffer.
All right, so there we go. We got Ilynav Fire Knight, and she looks really cool. Her animations are, I would say, top notch. She doesn't have a passive skill, so she does have an S2, which is also really nice. And we'll take a look at her here, but let's kind of fast forward and take a look at her stats here real quick. So she is a Gemini Fire Knight, and as you can tell right away, she has some built-in crit chance. So the way that I see her being built, her most optimal build, right, is going to be counter on some type of immunity, right? Like counter immunity, maybe counter crit, something like that. But as you can see, she has a fairly decent attack, health, pretty high health, decent speed, 109 speed, not the fastest, but also not 100 base speed, which is very nice. And as you can see, again, that crit chance is going to be really important. So if you do have slates on hand, she might be a potential slate candidate just because of the imprint concentration for crit chance. And you'll see why here in a bit as to why you might want to build her on the counter build. So here is her S3, Repel. Attacks all enemies mercilessly and grants increased critical hit damage to all allies for 2 turns and immunity to the caster for 2 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. So she is a health scaling bruiser, so you want to build her with as much HP as possible if you want her to deal damage, right? She AoE attacks with her S3 and gives the entire team increased critical hit damage. And I believe the increased critical hit damage is a 50% boost. I believe it's 30 or 50, one of those. But then she gives herself immunity. It is on a 5-turn cooldown minus 1 turn, so that's 4-turn cooldown. And of course, you're gonna want probably full molas on the S3 just because you want her to deal that damage, right? If you're building her somewhat bruisery, right? But let's see if we can kind of skip a little bit here to where they actually showcase her S3. So you go with the S3, and she's 16k HP, so keep that in mind. She is health scaling bruiser for damage, but she only has 16k HP here, and she did like about almost 5k to everyone here. She did 5k to that FCC. You got tanks here, you got a T-Ser in there, and then you got a Rowana here. So she did pretty decent damage, but I didn't see if she had an attack buff here. So I think she had the attack buff before she went, so that might be something to consider as well. Something that I'm not sure about is that 16k HP, right? I mean, ideally you want her with higher damage. Maybe her multipliers are crazy. Let's take a look at her S2, Punish. Attacks and pierces the enemy, inflicting injury. So she's one of those injury units. Mort says hello. Increased defense of the caster for 2 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. The severity of injuries increases proportional to damage dealt. Injuries decrease max health by 20% every time the skill is used. So the skill cooldown is a soul burn by 2 turns. So 4 turns, you actually can mola it down to 3. And if you soul burn this, which is only 10 souls, it'll be down to a 1-turn cooldown, which is that's pretty crazy. It's pretty insane. So every other turn you could have this up, and dealing injury, increasing her defense, so increasing her survivability can definitely be something that that you try to use. Let's see if they kind of show us here a little bit of what that might look like. So I don't know, but that animation is really, really nice. There she is in arena. So she did 3.8k on that CC. So her S3 did about, was it like 4 or 5k, and then her S2 did 3. So I mean, maybe multipliers are not that high, but then again, she is 16k HP here. So maybe she's built 100% crit. Unfortunately, we don't know. We don't know the gear that she's built with here, but at least we get to kind of see that. And what's really interesting here, and again, back to the counter build, is her S1 Rush. Attacks the enemy with a spear. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. When this skill is used, if it was not triggered by a dual attack, it has a 50% chance to use Punish instead of Rush. This skill does not trigger a dual attack. So meaning it's kind of like Charles, right? He goes with his S1 and there's a chance that he just goes with his S2 and pretty much blows you up. But this one actually has a 50% chance to use Punish instead of Rush. So when she goes with the S1, I'm assuming that instead of just attacking with a spear, she does her S2, which she like spins around like Sonic, right? And then hits him with the spear. So let's see if they show us an example here. So there's the S1. And then she's going to go with the S2 here, right? Yeah, so if you noticed, that triggered on an Elbrus, which is actually pretty cool. So imagine putting her counter Elbrus. And so Elbrus proc there. And then instead of using just the S1, the normal S1, she goes with the S2. But I mean, it didn't really do much here except for the injury, right? And if you're proccing the S2 over and over, they're going to have like 0 health by the time they're done. So, I mean, it's something to consider. Maybe for her, because of the amount of times that she's hitting you with injury, it might be viable. I don't know. We got to see. But she is getting her own artifact here, Wings of Light and Shadow. When you fully max this out, and of course it's a 5-star artifact, so you're going to have to max it out, it increases critical hit chance by 15%. And when a critical hit is made with a single attack, increases the damage of the next attack by 20%. So, I mean, I guess if you fully max this out and she's proccing her S2 off of counters and just going crazy, then she could potentially deal a lot of damage. But again, it's really going to depend on her multipliers. So we got to kind of wait and see. She is dropping on June 3rd, so you'll be able to pick her up. She is not a limited unit. Everybody was kind of speculating that she might be a limited unit, but she is not, which is really nice. And I don't know, I think it's a big bait for sure, but it's going to be difficult not to pull for her, not to pull. But collab incoming, so I don't know. We got to stay, but we got to pull for waifus, right? We got to pull. Okay, Inferno Khawazu. Here we go.
How dare you try to stop me? Burn to ash! There can only be one great chief.
All right, here we go. Inferno Khawazu. He is a Dark Warrior ML 4-star. Let's take a look at his stats here real quick. So just from first glance, I see that speed. I see 100 speed, super slow, warrior, Scorpio. It's gonna be a bad time, right? Well, not necessarily. Well, let's take a look. So he has pretty decent health. Decent attack, so you have to remember he is a 4-star, okay? He does have that imprint of health on the top 2 slots, or attack in his imprint concentration. And you might want to build him full attack build just because of his skills. And we'll take a look here at his S2. So his S2, Malekith's power. After suffering an attack that targets all allies, dispels all debuffs from the caster, and activates Blazing Fury. Can activate once every 2 turns. So Blazing Fury here is it's pretty crazy. So with an Outrage Cry, grants vigor to the caster for 2 turns before recovering health and increasing combat readiness by 20%. Amount recovered increases proportional to the caster's attack. So the higher attack that you build him, the more health he's going to recover when he procs his S2, right? And the Blazing Fury. And Blazing Fury. Of course, you want to mola this up just so that he doesn't get one shot and is able to recover as much health as possible, right? But it is a full cleanse, which is pretty nice. And it works on AoEs. So I think they showcase here on T-Surin, right? So he did have defense buff and attack buff. So just kind of keep that in mind. His, let's see, do they show us his HP here? No, I don't think they do. Okay, so he did a full cleanse, pushed himself up, healed up to max, and then you have the opportunity to go with either S1 or S3 here. So he's 12k. So he is probably built full attack, like 4.5k, 5k attack and up, right? So that's something to really keep in mind just because of his S1 and his S3. So let's take a look. Skill 1, Jealous Strike, attacks the enemy with flames with a 65% chance to burn for 1 turn. When the caster is granted Vigor, increases effect chance by 25% and inflicts 1 additional burn effect. So this is up to 2 burns, 65% chance. And if he has Vigor, that goes up to what, 80% chance to inflict the burns. And then I'm assuming it's what, 85, 90? Is that only 90%? 65, 70, 75, 85, 95, 100. No, okay, that's 100%. Correct me if I'm wrong though, but that's actually really nice, getting those burns. And of course, you're gonna want to build him full attack, right? Because as we've seen with Carrot, so there you go, there's those 2 burns. And then you can follow up immediately with the S3. And the S3 is pretty crazy. Attacks the enemy with an Inferno, dispelling all buffs. So it strips on the S3 before a 75% chance to inflict 2 burn effects for 2 turns. And at the end of the turn, detonates the burns. Ignores effect resistance when the caster is granted Vigor. So that's pretty insane. So you got burns on the S1, burns on the S3, and then after you hit him with the burns on the S3, you can detonate. And you can potentially ignore effect resistance, which is crazy. And this is going to be on a 3-turn cooldown. If you're getting constantly hit with AoEs, he's going to be pushing himself up. Let's see if they show us what that looks like here. So here's the S3. It's a single attack, which is kind of unfortunate, but boom, he did 24k to that FCC. Okay, and he has 12k HP, so he is probably built with full attack, like I said. So more of a Carrot build, so somewhat tanky, full you can ignore crit damage, all of that stuff. Maybe give him some effectiveness, and then you should be good, right? But he does look really nice on paper. I can't wait to see how people try him out. He's coming out June 17th, so just kind of keep that in mind. But that's going to be it for me. That's going to be it for ML Khawazu and Ilynav. Let me know your thoughts about these 2 heroes in the comment section below. Will you be pulling for either of these 2? I don't know. If ML Khawazu is rotated with an old ML, I'm thinking that maybe it's going to be Ruel. I don't think I'm going to pull just because I already have Ruel and I don't want to waste a pity. But Ilynav, I don't know. She might take some of my bookmarks. I might have to start refreshing the shop. But like always, if you haven't enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hey, think about subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people like you who like content like this. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.